Okay, well, hi everyone. Thank you so much for joining our session. I just want to introduce myself quickly. My name is Sophia Khalid. I am the Outreach and Policy Specialist with Paid Family and Medical Leave, and I'll pass it to Reggie.
All right, amazing. Hopefully folks can see me online, they can hear me. But I'm Reggie Parson. I'm the Deputy Director for the Pay Family Medical Leave Program.
Awesome, thank you so much. So we're gonna go through this PowerPoint teaching you a little bit about paid family and medical leave. You can go to the next slide, that would be helpful. Okay, cool. So back in 2023, Governor Janet Mills signed the paid family medical leave into law. The law essentially provides up to 12 weeks of paid time off for various reasons, including family leave, medical leave, military, and safe leave. The law does apply to all employers and employees in the state of Maine. Federal employees and are exempted from the program. There are, again, various reasons people can take for leave that are listed here, including family leave, medical leave, and military and safe leave. So we're gonna talk a little bit about the premiums and what they entail. The contribution rate for PFML is 1%, and it is split between the employee and the employer, each contributing 0.5% based on the employer size. Employers with fewer than 15 employees are exempt from contributing into PFML, but they are required to inform their employees and withhold that 0.5% from their paychecks. Self-employed individuals can opt in as well as tribal government. So we're just gonna look at the annual salary or premiums. For employers with 15 or more employees with an annual payroll of 1 million a year, the annual premium would be 10,000. The employer would contribute 5,000 per year, and the employee combined would contribute the additional 5,000. For employers with less than 15 employees, with an annual payroll of 250,000, the annual premium would be 1,250. The employer may deduct the entire amount from the employee's wages and would be responsible for remitting the premium. So I just wanted to go a little bit, show you like a visual example of how this may happen based on income. So someone with a minimum wage job that's earning 35,000 a year, they will get deducted around $3.36 per week from their paycheck. If you look at that yearly premium, that would be $175. And then you can go on from the average and the high income is as shown. Next slide, please. So I also wanted to talk a little bit about the requirement and the eligibility. So absent an emergency, illness, or necessity to take leave, an employee is required to provide noticeable notice to their employer. The noticeable notice is 30 days. If you look at the last bullet, it talks a little bit about undue hardship, which is a new concept for us. But the scheduling of an employee taking leave must not cause undue hardship to the employer, which means that it should not disrupt the employer's, cause significant disruption to the employer's operation. So which essentially promotes a conversation between the employee and the employer to have a conversation and work out the good schedule that works for both of them. Proof must be also provided that the individual does qualify for under one of the approved reasons, such as we discussed earlier, family leave, medical, military, or safe leave. The individual, sorry, the individual must have earned at least 6 times the state average weekly wage in 4 of the last 5 completed quarters, which as in 2025, the state average weekly wage is $1,198. You times that by 6, and the individual must have earned $7,188, essentially the past year or so, in order for them to qualify. But the Department of Labor will verify that information, so the employee does not need to worry about that information if they have earned that threshold. I also wanted to talk a little bit about the benefit calculation. As shown here, we use a tiered system. So the first 50% of the state average weekly wage is replaced at 90%, and the remaining is replaced at 66%. Benefits are kept again at the state average weekly wage, so no one can earn above that cap, $1,198. Benefits do go live May 1st of 2026. This also kind of gets a little bit into the weeds of the previous slide. So as shown, for example, if we were looking at the minimum wage, someone who's earning $35,000 a year, their weekly wage looks like $673. The first 90% of their state average weekly wage is capped at is $539. Since it exceeds that amount, the remaining 48 is replaced at 66%, totaling their weekly benefit amount, which is $587. And then you'll see the remaining medium and the high income. But no one can earn more than the state average weekly wage, which is $1,198. So this talks a little bit about the portal. It's really important for employers. The portal has launched back in January of this year. So all employers are required to create an account and sign up for the portal. The portal also allows self-employed individuals and tribal government to create an account and elect coverage as well. If employers have not signed up and don't know a lot of information, our website does contain a lot of webinars that employers can check out and learn more about that we've done last year, end of last year. Wage reports and premium contributions or premiums are due on a quarterly basis. And if an employer misses the wage reports and contributions, there is a penalty, unfortunately. Just more additional information, especially for employees. There are job protections provided to employees. Individuals who have worked for an employer for at least 120 days consecutively are guaranteed job protection. It is also, the benefit is portable, so if you jump from an employer to an employer, if you go to a new employer, essentially all employers are enrolled into PFML, so employees should not worry about, oh, I went to a different employer, I don't qualify for PFML. They do. Also, we recently brought on AFLEC as our claims administrator. And we are also in the second phase of the public education campaign, which will heavily be talking about benefits and how people can know more about benefits and the claims administrator and the application process. So that is still pending. So just for closing, for next steps, if you want to really learn more about our webpage, paid family medical leave or maine.gov/paid leave, you can learn more about the law. Also, please do sign up for our Get Notified list. We send frequent emails so you can get the latest updates. And then we also have a lot of FAQs and multiple videos that are translated into at least 7 languages that is really accessible to numerous people. And the last resource we have is a call center that it is open from 8 to 5, Mondays through Fridays. I think that's it. Reggie, anything else you would like to add?
Can folks hear me? Now you
Oh,
can.
yeah.
No, that was a great presentation by Sophia. So the only thing I would say is that we're still in implementation mode of the program. So, as we get closer to May 1, 2026, we're definitely going to continue to put out more information and, also clarify things if needed. So, but hopefully folks here today have any questions, and we're happy to answer them. So.
We can go back to a particular slide as well that you guys want a clarification on. Hi. Yes, hi.
This is for employers, and for part for employees, is there a link for them in assessing what's happening?
Say that again. Are you? Oh,
So there's a page for employers, and I've been involved with the process for a while. Hi, Reggie. And but I've been getting stuff from the Department of Labor in relationship to employers. And in the beginning, there was a bunch of stuff. There's employers and employees, employees and employers. But lately, I haven't seen anything for employees as far as Department of Labor passing on other information. Like, how do you know that your company is on time and filing stuff when you know that you have something coming? Well, it's still early, but how do you keep track of what's happening with your employer, because you know that for whatever reason in May of 2026 you're going to have a hip replacement?
Yeah, so I can take that on, and good to see you again. So we do have, for first on the interested parties list, we have both employers and employees. And depending on what type of messaging we want to send, we don't send it out blankly to both. If it's information specific to, wage reports, is only going to employers. And we recently just did one for employees about 2 weeks ago, because now we have employee-based FAQs. So for them, they're going to get that specific piece of information. Some things that folks actually do, and there's nothing prohibiting you, folks can sign up for both the employer and the employee interested parties list. Right, so you can get both at the same time. And then when it comes to communication with just communication in general. If there's something, for example, like wage reports or premiums that are due, we only communicate that to employers because they have the responsibility under the law to report that. So workers, for the most part, shouldn't receive any communication about, oh, your employer hasn't, turned in a wage report kind of thing. But we're always looking to find ways to loop both groups in.
any additional questions or clarifications?
The one thing I will clarify about, because Sophia mentioned that the benefits are portable, and they certainly are. So, because of the way the definition of the law is pretty broad. So basically, if you're an employer that has one employee, this would apply to you, exempting, unless you're. There's certain exemptions, as Sophia said, but for the most part, it's broad. But there will be workers who are in the state plan and also in the private plan, because employers can use that or obtain that as an option in lieu of the state plan. So there's broad coverage. No matter where that worker is, they're going to be either in the state plan or both. They're working multiple jobs, either in the state plan or private plan or both. So it is pretty broad.
I'll throw a question out. If an employer decides while they're on leave to change employers, does this plan transfer to a new employer? How does that process work?
In terms of the claim, or just if they
Yeah,
are
so
just
if your employee is a couple weeks into a paid leave and they tell you they're not planning to return because they're going to go to a different employer, what does that look like for you as the company they're exiting or the company they might be entering?
I'm assuming, I guess if we want to use the example, let's just say they need to take the leave maybe, and they are, hold on, can you ask the question again? Because I think I have an answer, but I want to make sure it's.
It's just if somebody goes out on medical leave, let's
Okay.
say they have a 6-week or an 8-week leave,
Mhm.
and 3 or 4 weeks in they decide that they're going to switch employers, so they're
Okay.
not going to return to employer A. They will be joining a new employer,
Mhm.
but they want to use the full leave. Is that available to them? And is there anything employer A needs
Yes.
to do or employer B if they're
Needs to
onboarding
do.
them?
So okay, now that makes sense. So it depends on if that worker, the length of the time that they've worked with that employer. So if you have an employee who's been with you for like 5 years and they take leave and decide, okay, I want to move to another job, they, by virtue, that sounds like they voluntarily have left that employer, which is fine. But if they wanted to move to a different employer, I'm assuming they're still on leave, then I think the claim will still stay with us. But again, it depends on if they're part of the state plan or a private plan, because the responsibility, I think, depending on where they started off, the employer will stay with that claim. But yeah, so hopefully that clarifies it, because workers could leave in between jobs, but
It sounds like there would be some nuance based on the situation.
yeah, it's nuanced, but yeah, depending on where they started, and if they left that employer, that claim will stay with that employer for that time being, for the duration of that leave. And if they decide to use the remaining 4 weeks of leave with the new employer, then that claim will stay with that employer. But most likely, if they're part of the state plan, the state will oversee that as well. So.
In this, how much have you been, or the Department of Labor? Well, I actually was at a meeting with Laura, so I'm kind of answering my own question, but I'm curious as to where it's gone since. But we met with the um, Resource Coalition, something I forgot.
Merck? Are you talking about Merck?
Yes. And there was a meeting to talk about paid family leave and some other department labor issues. So has there still been continued meetings with such groups in order to make sure people are aware that going, 2 employees versus 15 employees?
Yeah, we're always holding webinars, whether we reach out to a. Huh? Oh, you can't hear me? Oh, I was there. Yes, sorry, I cannot hear you. But yes, I was there, and we're always again looking for either coalitions or groups or organizations to hold webinars, whether it's in person or virtual. So we're always encourage that. We recently held one with AARP, a virtual one. I always try to reach out to the immigrant organizations too, who may not be really like looking at the law and the rules and all of that, just because of the technology and the language barrier and all the other challenges that are happening. But so yeah, we're always again looking for organizations and partners. And if you have ideas of people we haven't reached out to, we'd love to talk to you.
And one other thing I almost forgot. We do have handouts. So we have labor posters that I would definitely encourage folks to take. They are in multiple languages. So some are in English. We have in French, Portuguese, and Spanish. So if you want to take one, please feel free to go ahead.
So if somebody had like more so questions about the paid family leave, it's a mouthful, sorry. How would they, like, is there like an online portal that they can like see like the benefits, like the package, etc.? But then also like for like smaller organizations, would you like tell them to do that? Like how do they figure out if they need that, or like how can they buy in?
Yeah, so I think you're talking about education, and you can answer whatever else I don't answer. But yeah, so for again, both employees and employers, we do have, if you go back to our last slide, you'll see like we have a call center that's again open Monday through Fridays, 8 to 5. So you can call whenever you have a question about PFML. We do have multiple FAQs that have been translated in many languages. The portal is for employers only to contribute wages and make that contribution, so they don't get penalized at the end of the quarter when it is due. But in terms of employees, it's really like our website has just multiple information, but we also will have something for the benefits as well, right, Reggie?
Yeah. So as Sophia said, AFLAC is going to be our third-party administrator. So there will be a benefits portal separate from the one we currently have right now. So for people who are trying to be eligible for benefits, they'll likely go through that portal and not the one that's standing. And also one more thing on the translated FAQs, because we just put out more information, we don't have them up yet, but they will be coming. But for the most part, you can still see the translated videos because we update our FAQs pretty frequently, so we have to make sure they're translated too.
Thank you. I'm going to build on Nelson's question. Are you seeing a trend where folks who are impacted by ICE arrest requesting FML use as they're being impacted? And even if the answer might be no or maybe, is that applicable for families who are being impacted and may want to tap into family paid leave?
Yeah, so because right now, unfortunately, no one's receiving benefits under this program yet because the benefits won't be paid out until May 1 of 2026. But you get to kind of a good question in terms of, the eligibility for it. And so other states, and actually Sophia did a good job researching this, how other states, depending on citizenship, are you eligible? And for the most part, most of the states don't look at someone's citizenship. I mean, if they meet their eligibility criteria in their respective state, for all purposes, they're eligible for paid family medical leave. So for us, I think we're going to stay on that same trend. Obviously, we're going to be asking certain information, but citizenship status is not a eligibility requirement that we're saying.
Any last questions?
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. If you do want to get in touch with us, we can, I don't know, give them. We don't have a card yet.
Yeah, actually, I do have cards.
Oh, you do? I don't have a card.
No, I do have cards. I can leave it here.
Yeah.
But definitely, I would encourage folks to just visit our website. We're going to be refreshing the webpage as much as we can, and if we're happy to come back, anytime. So thank you.